What if I told you the most powerful technology you've ever owned isn't in your pocket? It's in your throat. Every word you've ever spoken is still out there, vibrating through the field, echoing like code written into the operating system of your life. You think you're describing reality, but you're not. You're authoring it sentence by sentence, breath by breath. Ancient priests knew this. They called it Heka. The Greeks called it Logos. Nikola Tesla said, "If you want to understand the universe, think in terms of frequency." They all pointed to the same truth. Sound is not communication, it's command. Say, "I'm not ready," and your timeline pauses. Say, "I am inevitable," and probability starts rewriting itself to fit. For centuries, this knowledge was hidden, burned, ridiculed, because once people realized their voice could bend reality, control would collapse. In the next few minutes, I'm going to hand you the root access they tried to bury, how to use breath, tone, and language to rewrite the physics of your own existence. This isn't mindset, this isn't motivation, it's mechanics, the forgotten code of creation. Once you understand what your voice is really doing to the field around you, you'll never speak carelessly again, because you'll realize every word you say is either programming your freedom or reinforcing your cage. Let's start with something most people never notice. The universe doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your resonance. Every sound you make sends out a vibration, a wave of pressure moving through the air. Those waves don't just disappear, they leave an imprint in the space around you. Your voice isn't just air moving through your throat. It's energy, frequency, information being broadcast into the field of reality itself. You felt this before. Think about the last time you walked into a room and instantly sensed tension before anyone said a word. That wasn't just intuition, that was your nervous system reading vibration. Now, flip it around. Every time you speak, you're broadcasting a signal that other nervous systems instantly pick up. When you complain, people feel it before you finish the sentence. When you speak with certainty, the world starts to align with that confidence. Even right now, as you listen, the air around you is vibrating in precise patterns, subtly influencing your breathing, your mood, even your heartbeat. Sound is never passive. Sound is interaction. Sound is command. So the question isn't whether your voice affects reality. The question is, are you using it consciously or unconsciously? You've been shaping your reality your whole life through the tone and intention of your own voice. Every sigh, every declaration, every quiet thought spoken aloud sends a signal into the field, and the field mirrors it back as experience. Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, said, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness." Even he understood that the physical world begins with awareness, and vibration is how that awareness expresses itself. You've seen it work. A moment of anger shifts an entire room. A declaration of conviction opens doors. A whispered prayer changes the air. That isn't coincidence. That's resonance, meeting coherence. That's vibration writing instructions into the field. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is awareness. Once you realize your voice is a transmitter sending out reality shaping frequencies constantly, you'll stop throwing words into the void and start speaking with intention. When imagination, emotion, and vibration align into one clear signal, your words stop being noise. They become creation. Modern science hints at what mystics always knew. Sound reorganizes matter. In cymatics experiments, when sand rests on a metal plate and a tone is played, the particles leap into precise geometric patterns. The frequency never touches the sand directly, yet it shapes the field and the particles obey. Change the tone and the pattern transforms instantly. Your life is that plate. Your voice is the tone. Every word, every emotion laced vibration rearranges the particles of your experience into matching patterns. Quantum field theory suggests everything begins as waves of potential waiting to take shape until interaction collapses them into form. When you speak, you send a pressure wave through the environment. Your voice doesn't just describe outcomes, it influences perception, emotion, and behavior, including your own. Your body listens to your voice from the inside out. Vibration travels through bone and tissue. Your nervous system reabsorbs those frequencies and tunes itself to whatever emotion and intention you expressed. That's why tone matters. That's why what you say to yourself carries weight. Creation begins as frequency, but frequency needs structure, energy, and transmission. Your imagination is the blueprint, your emotion is the voltage, your voice is the conductor. When all three align, you aren't hoping for change, you're reinforcing a pattern in your own nervous system and in how others respond to you. If imagination lacks detail, the signal is weak. If emotion contradicts the words, the message fragments. When you vividly imagine a future outcome and your body feels it as real, posture shifts, breath deepens, chemistry changes. That's not magic, that's physiology. Speak from that state and your tone carries coherence. Intention must be specific, sensory, and present. Vague language creates vague direction. Precise language shapes focus. Instead of saying, I want to be happy, describe what happiness feels like in your body, in your daily rhythm. Instead of, I want more money, describe the relief, the stability, the exact outcome you're aiming toward. The brain responds to clarity. Speak in present tense to anchor identity now rather than postponing it into an abstract future. Language influences perception, and perception shapes action. Emotion fuels the signal. Your body generates measurable electrical activity. When you breathe slowly and deeply, your nervous system shifts toward calm coherence. When you feel gratitude or confidence, posture, tone, and facial expression change. Those shifts affect how others perceive and respond to you. You don't need to fake emotion. You need to generate something real and aligned. Even nervous energy can become focus when reframed. The key is coherence between what you say and what you feel. Vocal tuning matters. Speaking from shallow breath creates strain. Speaking from grounded breath creates steadiness. A calm, deliberate tone signals certainty to your own nervous system and to others. Before issuing any important statement, breathe from your diaphragm, release the words slowly, let them land. Whisper to calibrate, speak normally to root, declare firmly to embody, then stop. Silence reinforces authority, over explaining fractures conviction. Language structure matters too. Speak in present tense, use definitive verbs, avoid contradictions, add sensory texture, end with silence. These aren't mystical rules, they're psychological mechanics. The way you phrase a statement influences how deeply you believe it, and belief shapes behavior. Release is essential. Once you've spoken a clear intention, stop chasing it. Obsessive checking signals doubt to your own mind. Trust reinforces internal coherence. Think of planting a seed. Growth happens unseen. Your job is not to dig it up every hour, it's to embody the identity consistent with the intention. Act as if the shift is already integrating. That changes micro decisions, posture, tone, risk tolerance. Receiving requires attention. Notice subtle opportunities aligned with your intention. Keep track of small confirmations. Not because the universe is sending mystical signals, but because your awareness filters experience. When you focus on alignment, you perceive more alignment. Attention amplifies pattern recognition. Act on nudges. Motion confirms belief. Eventually, embodiment replaces effort. You stop repeating affirmations and start living them. Confidence becomes posture. Abundance becomes decision making. Calm becomes baseline. When thoughts, emotions, and actions align, people respond differently. Opportunities shift because behavior shifts. Presence becomes magnetic not through magic, but through coherence. Throughout history, cultures understood that sound shapes experience. The Egyptians spoke of Heka, sacred utterance. The Greeks described logos as creative principle. Tesla spoke of frequency. Modern science studies vibration, resonance, entrainment. The language differs, the principle remains. Sound influences physiology. Physiology influences perception. Perception influences action. Action influences reality. Your voice is not just expression, it's reinforcement. Every time you speak, you strengthen an identity. The question is simple. Are you reinforcing limitation, or are you reinforcing alignment? Speak with precision, breathe with intention, align imagination, emotion, and tone, then release and embody. Because whether mystical or mechanical, one truth remains. Words shape the speaker before they shape the world. One message remaining. Upgrade to plus to keep the conversation going. Upgrade